Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Purple Lunar Rose Love and Astrology Night. Tonight, I am going to go over all of the March transits. I am going to talk a little bit about the collective. I will read for the collective energies, and then I will offer some free and paid mini readings at the end. Guys, please remember we are multi streaming. So tonight, we're on 4 platforms. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and TikTok all at the same time. I love it. It looks like everything is working. We have sound, we have picture, perfect. Guys, if you're watching live, get comfortable. It is going to be lengthy tonight. Again, I'm going to go over the March transits. We'll talk about those current collective energies. I'm actually going to share 2 very personal stories with you tonight as well. And like I said, I'll offer some readings at the end. So grab a water, grab a snack, get comfortable. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much for watching my video. It looks like we're doing good everywhere. So exciting. All right. Welcome, ladies. Welcome, Jenna. First one in. Vanessa, welcome. I'm just pulling my notes up. Sherry, I'm so glad you're here. All right, let me get notes ready. I'm going to go over all these transits. I made them pretty simple for March, guys. So what I did was I just really focused on masculine and feminine energies. I feel like that's really the easiest way to explain the astrology transits. And I'm going to go over the moon transits along with the planets. And then, like I said, after that, we'll talk about some collective energy. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in. It'll give everybody a chance to come in and catch us live. All right. Here we go, guys. Grab your calendars. An interesting thing that I can tell you about March before we get started is we only have one hot date. We only have one hot date for the month of March. So I want you to keep that in mind as we go through all of the astrology. That is a lot different than I think anything we have experienced here at PLR before. And the first thing I noticed as I was taking my notes and getting all the transits ready. Oh, thank you, Sandra. I was slightly nervous. Okay, here we go. All right, guys, March 1st. Let's talk about the moon. On the very first day of March, I believe it's Sunday, moon is going to be in Leo. So for the masculine, this is a drive to perform, to create, and seek admiration. These energies are going to feel more natural for the masculine energy. Confidence will be high, but ego may need an audience on March 1st. For the feminine energy, this is a need to nurture through joy and play. There's going to be a magnetic pull towards self expression and leading with the heart. That's going to be March 1st, moon and Leo. All right, March 2nd, Mars is going to enter Pisces. You guys are going to hear a lot of astrologers talk about this energy. With the masculine, this is about action becoming fluid rather than forceful. The useful, direct approach is going to fade. Motivation will be found in art, rest, and spirituality. For the feminine, March 2nd, Mars entering Pisces, this will be assertive energy, will soften actually. And there's going to be power and surrender for the feminine and working behind the scenes rather than leading the charge. Also, on March 2nd, we have the moon entering Virgo. The masculine will feel structure is going to be applied to practical tasks. The focus is on efficiency and fixing what is broken. For the feminine, March 2nd, the moon entering Virgo, this is nurturing. It's going to help you express through service and attention to detail. There's going to be comfort and order and cleanliness for feminine energy. On March 3rd, it's my youngest son's birthday. Happy birthday, William. He will have his birthday on the Virgo lunar eclipse. This is the blood full moon. Again, you will hear several astrologers talk specifically about this day. I normally would make the full moon a hot day, guys, but there is a very specific reason that I'm not making this Virgo full moon a hot date. If you guys think about the energy of Virgo, Virgo is the natural ruler of the sixth house, which is about our health and our daily routine. And that energy is also the very like over analytical energy, right? Virgo energy can have a tendency to overthink. So this particular full moon, I'm not counting as a hot date because I believe we'll be doing exactly that. Too much overthinking and maybe not necessarily taking too much action on this particular full moon lunar eclipse. That may be a little bit against the grain of what you may hear others say, but that is going to be my perspective of the lunar eclipse. For the masculine, this energy is drawn towards it wants results of hard work to come to fruition. But plans may need revision with this lunar eclipse. It's going to be a test of patience for the masculine regarding career or health routines. For the feminine, this is emotional release around perfectionism, letting go of the need to fix everything or everyone. That's the Virgo lunar eclipse on March 3rd. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready. Sign me up. All right, on March 4th, the moon is going to enter Libra. So the masculine energy here is going to be drawn towards partnership and negotiation. Fairness becomes a priority in interactions. For the feminine, emotional peace is found in unity and harmony. There's a strong need to avoid conflict and to seek balance. On March 5th, the sun is going to be in Pisces. It's going to be trying Jupiter in Cancer. Guys, a little bit later in 2026, Jupiter is going to make some big moves, massive transits that we're going to talk about as that energy becomes closer. It definitely has me very excited. But March 5th, sun in Pisces, trying Jupiter in Cancer. The masculine energy will feel optimism is flowing easier. Big plans feel more achievable. Protective instincts are strong and generous on March 5th. The feminine, this is more emotional security expanding for the feminine energy. Intuition is heightened and nurturing others feels deeply rewarding. On March 6th, Venus enters Aries. Again, this is going to be another energy where you will hear several other astrologers speak of March 6th, Venus entering Aries, and some other um, twin flame people or people that are having this specific type of spiritual awakening journey may consider this Venus entering Aries a hot date. Again, I am not for very specific reasons. But for the masculine, this is about love becoming more bold and assertive. Flirting can feel very direct. Pursuit is exciting and competitive. For the feminine is going to take the initiative in relationships. Desires are expressed openly without waiting. This is the energy right before the Senate. Okay, so I know that sounds like Rosa. That sounds like that would be a heart. Also on the 6th, you also have the moon entering Scorpio as well. And that masculine energy is very intense. It's going to increase. There's going to be a drive to uncover secrets and deep dive into like research and strategy. And for the feminine, also on the 6th with the moon entering Scorpio, that energy is going to have some emotions that are running deep. This is going to be a need for privacy, a desire to bond through vulnerability and trust. But this is the day before the 7th, okay? March 7th is going to be the only hot date that I'm going to give you for the month of March. Again, I'm going to say that one more time for those of you that circle your hot dates on your calendar. March 7th is going to be the only hot date that I'm going to give you for the month of March. Let me explain why. The energy of Mark 6 is a buildup. And because the feminine is in charge with Venus moving into Aries, the feminine is going to think things through. It's going to be more hesitant before making that move. Because she's taking the initiative is going to be more thought out, whereas the masculine would be more bold, assertive, and quick. But because the feminine is in charge on March 6th, that energy is going to hold. Does that make sense? And as that moon moves into Scorpio, that energy is going to hold stronger. And those emotions, again, will run deep, but the feminine will not make the move until the 7th. On March 7th, you will have the masculine and the feminine coming together. And for those of you on this very specific type of spiritual awakening journey, I would definitely expect some type of contact, some type of communication, and some type of reunion. The sun is going to be conjunct with Mercury in Pisces. This is what they call an inferior conjunction or also a cazimi. So I know you guys are going to remember that we've talked about kazimis before, right? A kazimi is when, okay, so when two planets are in conjunction, that means that they're in between like 0 and 3 degrees of each other, right? They're really close together. That's a conjunction. 0 degrees would say that the two planets are side by side, practically kissing, practically touching, right? That would be a conjunction. That's what they mean when they say that, two planets are experiencing this transit. Okay. When the sun is in a conjunction with a planet, it's called a cazimi. When it's at that 0 degrees, when it's at that, we can't get any closer, right? We can't, there's no mathematical number that would show us being any closer. That's called a cazimi. And in the month of March, we are having a cazimi with Mercury and the Sun. The reason that this is a hot date is because, and not other kazimis that we've experienced before, right? Is because this kazimi, this Mercury and Sun conjunction is happening. Are you ready? In the sign of Pisces. In the sign of Pisces. And guys, that's really important. I know some of you are like, well, what does that mean, Rosa? Pisces is the natural ruler of the 12th house. Pisces is the natural ruler. The 12th house is the house of spirit, right? The house of God. The 12th house on your chart. And Pisces is the natural ruler of the 12th house. So God is bringing together the masculine and the feminine. And are you ready? To communicate. Because Mercury is communication. Everybody following? Circle, double circle, triple circle, March 7th. And then please message me. Come tell me how I was right. You know you're going to want to run to me, email. I don't care how you tell me. Just let me know. All right. Also, on March 7th, Venus will conjunct Neptune in Aries. And for the masculine, this is love idealized. This is very romantic, dreamy quality to attraction, but boundaries may blur on this day. For the feminine, this is compassion and charm are actually going to be heightened. And are you ready? Artistic expression through love is powerful. And that is why March 7th is your one and only hot date for the month of March. All right, that's the first half. That's not the first half. That's the first. All right, here we go. Okay, so March 8th, we're going to have the sun trine Mars in Cancer. So this is for the masculine channeled energy into protecting home and family, which is definitely needed at this time. Action is going to be motivated by care and loyalty. And for the feminine, creativity is going to flow from a place of emotional security. Assertiveness is gentle but effective. On March 9th, Mercury is going to be trine Jupiter in Cancer. And the masculine is going to have some grand ideas from the past resurface. Communication about family or real estate is optimistic. For the feminine, conversations feel expansive and nurturing, sharing memories, strengthening emotional bonds. March 9th. Also, in March 9th, the moon will enter Sagittarius, and for the masculine, this could feel very restless. For the feminine, this could feel emotional. On March 10th, Venus will be sextile Pluto and Aquarius. So for the masculine, relationships will deepen through intensity. And for the feminine, emotional bonds are strengthened through transformation. Loyalty is tested and solidified for the feminine on March 10th with Venus sextile Pluto in Aquarius. On March 10th, also, Jupiter will go direct in Cancer. So this is forward momentum. And this is the beginning of that Jupiter energy that, again, we're going to talk more about as 2026, as we work through 2026. But this is going to be some real growth in personal security. For the feminine, this is emotional expansion. On March 11th, we have the last quarter moon in Sagittarius. For the masculine, this is releasing old beliefs that block expansion. And for the feminine, this is clearing out emotional baggage that's tied to your freedom. On March 12th, the moon will enter Capricorn. This is discipline returning for the masculine. The masculine will find themselves focused on career, reputation, and long term goals. And for the feminine, this is emotional restraint. Nurturing is going to be shown through responsibility and providing structure. On March 14th, the moon will enter Aquarius, and for the masculine, the energy will shift to group goals and innovation. Networking and friendships will take priority. For the feminine, emotional detachment is the energy for the moon entering Aquarius. The feelings will feel like they're being processed through logic and connection to community. On March 15th, Mercury will be conjunct Mars in Pisces, and for the masculine, thoughts turn into action. There could be some impulsiveness with this energy, speaking up about old ideas with renewed passion. For the feminine, this is more intuition driving action, defending a creative or spiritual vision with quiet force. On March 16th, the moon will enter Pisces. And this energy for the masculine is productivity feels like it's going to slow down. Introspection is going to be needed before taking action. For the feminine, this is emotional sensitivity peaking. So rest and solitude are going to be required to recharge. On March 18th, Pisces moon. For the masculine, this is planting seeds for creative or spiritual endeavors, starting fresh with compassion. For the feminine, this is deep intuition guiding new beginnings, trusting the unseen, and embracing vulnerability. Also on March 18th, the sun will sextile Uranus in Taurus. Uranus is also going to make some big transits along with Jupiter as we move through 2026 that we're going to talk more about as that energy becomes more prominent and gets closer. But for the masculine on March 18th, the sun sextile Uranus in Taurus feels like openness to unconventional methods. You're going to be trying a new approach to finances or routines or both. For the feminine, this is embracing unique self worth, finding stability through authentic self expression. On March 19th, the moon will enter Aries, and for the masculine, energy will surge. New beginnings feel urgent and exciting. For the feminine, emotional independence, feeling empowered to put yourself first. On March 20th, the sun will enter Aries, and the Aries season will begin. My sun is in Aries, so I'm super excited for my birthday coming up. Happy birthday, all you Aries out there, right? For the masculine, this Aries energy will feel revitalized. This is confidence, courage, and initiative returning for the masculine energy. For the feminine, on March 20th, the sun entering Aries, I feel like the collective feminine is going to feel inspired to assert your own needs. This is definitely going to be a season of me first for the feminine energy this year season. March 20th, Mercury will go direct in Pisces. Mercury retrograde will end. And the masculine energy will feel like the mental fog is lifting. Communication will become clear. And I feel like rest will definitely be needed for the masculine energy. For the feminine, intuitive messages become easier to articulate, trusting inner knowing without second guessing. On March 21st, Mars will trine Jupiter in Cancer. For the masculine, this is motivated action towards home and family goals. Luck in real estate could be prominent energy on this day, or renovation. For the feminine, on the 21st, Mars trining Jupiter in Cancer. This is emotional energy that is high and positive. Nurturing actions will bring joy and expansion. Also, on the 21st, we do have the moon entering Taurus, And for the masculine, that's a little bit of slowed down energy. It's going to help you focus on stability, finances, and sensory pleasures. For the feminine energy, this is emotional comfort found in places like nature and physical touch, seeking peace and predictability. On March 22nd, the Sun will conjunct Neptune in Aries. And for the masculine, this is identifying identity merging with the divine. It's going to be a desire to lead with compassion and artistic vision. For the feminine, intuition is one with the self. So your dreams provide direct guidance for the path ahead. On March 23rd, the moon will enter Gemini, and the masculine energy will feel like the mental activity is increasing. Networking, communication, and multitasking are going to be the main energies. For the feminine, emotional processing through talking, sharing feelings will lighten the load. On March 25th, the Sun will conjunct Saturn in Aries, and the masculine will feel like more serious commitment to their goals. Discipline and hard work are going to be recognized on March 25th. For the feminine, this is emotional maturity, taking responsibility for personal direction and ambition. On March 25th, you're also going to experience the first quarter moon in Cancer. And for the masculine, this is adjustments in the home or family dynamic. This is taking action to create emotional security. And for the feminine, inner conflict pushes growth, making changes to feel safer and more nurtured. Also on March 25th, last one, nope, two more, sorry. Sun will be sexed out Pluto in Aquarius. So for the masculine, this is passionate focus on goals. And for the feminine, this is emotional intensity, change through empowerment. The last one for March 25th is the moon will enter Cancer and the masculine will feel protective instincts rising. Focus will turn towards home, family, and foundation. And for the feminine, emotional nurturing will peak, creating a safe space for self and loved ones. On March 27th, the moon will enter Leo. For the masculine, this is creative expression taking center stage, seeking fun, romance, and play. For the feminine, this is warmth and generosity, nurturing through encouragement and celebration. On March 28th, Saturn will sextile Pluto in Aquarius. And for the masculine, this is discipline transformation, lasting structures for personal and societal change. For the feminine, Saturn sextile Pluto in Aquarius will feel like emotional resilience. Deep inner work will lead to stable empowerment. On March 29th, the moon will enter Virgo, and the masculine energy will feel returning to productivity, organizing, cleaning, and refining systems. For the feminine, this is nurturing through health and healthfulness, finding comfort in daily routines. On March 30th, Venus will enter Taurus, and for the masculine, this feels like love becoming steady and sensual. Loyalty and physical affection are prioritized. For the feminine, this is self worth rooted in stability, attracting love through patience and presence. On March 31st, the last day of March, the moon will enter Libra. And for the masculine, this is about seeking balance in relationships. Partnerships will be heightened on this day. For the feminine, this is emotional peace through connection, needing harmony to feel secure. All right, those are going to be your March transits. I hope everyone noticed the intensity building as we get to the last part of March. I tried to separate them in the video so you can see like March 1st through the 15th. Those energies feel very light, exciting. And as we work through the later half of March, I'm not saying that they're not exciting. Definitely still a lot of excitement there, especially with those bigger transits. But definitely the energy feels like the intensity is becoming more intense, right? Yeah, so that's what I have for astrology. Spiritual belly dancer. I love that. Welcome. All right, guys. We are going to do some collective readings. I'm going to do a collective reading, and then I'm going to offer some mini readings. But I do want to talk to you a little bit about the current energies. So, I did several personal readings this past week for you guys, and the collective energies came up strongly in many of your readings. And we talked about those, right? One on one. It is a long month. Yes, sure it is. But we're ready, guys. We're ready. We're beyond ready, prepared even. Um, but as I talk to you guys, one on one about these collective energies that we're all feeling, um, the real thing that stuck out to me was the fact that we still believe we're the only ones feeling them. And that can really make us feel like we're lonely. Or I know when it happens to me, I feel like I'm just kind of out here in the world, just, blowing in the wind on my own type of thing, right? And we really want to stay grounded, especially as we move through that second half of March, right? Like that's really the only thing that I keep getting from spirit guidance wise when I start to feel uh, those collective energies. Right now, the collective energies are emotional overwhelm. Okay, we just feel like we've had enough, right? Um, being short fused, right? Feeling depleted, feeling fearful and anxious. Some of us are a little jumpy these days, right? Guys, this is not abnormal. The things that are happening in the world, the energies that we're feeling, the transformation that we're going through is bringing a lot of these feelings to the surface. And what's happening is, remember, grounding is not just go out and touch the tree. It's not just about taking your shoes off and running through the grass, which we all should be doing, especially right now. It also means that we're integrating what we've learned through our spiritual awakening journey. In other words, the downloads you've received, the channeled messages that you've received, the spiritual guidance, the information, the knowledge, the wisdom, all of those things are being integrated, which means that we're using them in our practical everyday life. That's how we're going to make it through that second part of March when all those bigger heavyweight planets start to make those bigger transits, right? All right. Last thing I'm going to talk to you guys about, and I'm going to I'm going to share two very personal, very vulnerable stories. I hear that I'm supposed to be doing this more often. I was telling my friend this, Tina, like it's really hard for me to do these. Where I have to like tell about like what happened to me personally, because it's challenging. You know what I mean? It's challenging. When it feels easy when you watch other people do it, but when it's your own story or your own life, like I have to live in this town, you know what I mean? It can be challenging to be vulnerable and kind of open up. And I'm going to share these two stories with you because I want you to notice, again, that this is not something, the things, the energies that you're experiencing or the things you could be feeling right now, you're not alone. Like that's my whole purpose of creating PLR. When I went through this spiritual awakening, this type of awakening, right? I really felt like I was the only one that had ever experienced any of this. I thought I was crazy, and if I told anybody, they were just going to put me away in the room, right? Um, and so I kept a lot of things to myself, and that is the devil's work is what that is. And so it took a lot. It took, going through dark night of the soul and literally like finding God, or not finding God, he was always there, but just finding source, realizing where source was, I guess, to be able to come out of that energy, right? So I share these stories with you tonight, not so that you'll laugh at me and make fun of me, and not so you'll talk crap behind my back when you see me at the grocery store, but just so that you will see that we're all experiencing these same types of things, right? And we all are human and nobody's perfect, and we all are just learning from our experiences, right? All right, here goes. Um, First story is going to be about miscommunication because again, Mercury is going to be retrograde in 2 days, so the energy is very prominent. I just went over the March transits. Remember, it's only a few weeks, guys. March 20th, it's over. But the shadow period for this Mercury retrograde has been like wow, right? Um, And guys, I know all the things. Experience guides me. I get the information. I surrendered. I receive the downloads, the channeled information. I journal. I take notes. I do all the things, okay? So, like, what I'm trying to say is, it doesn't matter if you do all the things. The spirit wants you to learn something a certain way, you're going to learn something a certain way. And that's just all there is to it, okay? So, here was my Mercury retrograde lesson, okay? And it is about miscommunication. But what I want to talk about with miscommunication in this particular Mercury retrograde, remember, it's retrograde in Pisces. It's going to stay in Pisces the entire time it's retrograde. And remember, retrograde is like the spiritual house, right? 12th house, or Pisces is, right? Okay, so Mercury retrograde in Pisces. Okay, here goes. I'm shaking. Okay, I was having this conversation with a man. First, I guess I should tell you about this man. This man was very kind, very nice, very polite, very spiritual, which, like, blew my mind. I mean, it's so rare to come across a man that will admit he's having, like, spiritual awakening or experiencing spiritual things, right? Um, and and as I'm having this conversation, I'm, like, I don't know, getting kind of excited. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I met somebody and they like, relate to what I'm going through, and it's like, I was really, like, I don't know, taken aback, right? But you know how when you're texting with someone, and you're having, like, more than one conversation at a time, you know what I'm talking about? Like, you can you text throughout your, over a period of time, and you're having more than one conversation. So one reply may be to this conversation, and another reply may be to another part of the conversation. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. So I'm in the middle of this, right? And I read something that this person says, and I immediately misunderstand, like, what was said, and I immediately panic. um, I block, ban, delete. True story. True story. So my point of telling you this is that I realized that this Mercury retrograde is about a lot more than just miscommunication, because that particular incident showed me. I went to sleep. I took a nap after this texting situation. And then I woke up from my nap. And when I woke up from my nap, I realized that the person was talking about the other part of the conversation, which his reply would have made sense to the other part of the conversation. But that told me that, like, I clearly am struggling with the male um, species, and I clearly still need to work on my own foundation, and my own trust issues, right? So could he have been the one? We'll never know. We'll never know. But I'm okay in learning this Mercury retrograde lesson. Again, not just about the miscommunication, but the reason behind the miscommunication. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, I can't believe I just got through that. Are you ready? Second story. Okay, second story. This just happened. Um, I told the mod ladies about this already. I was like, Spirit sent me three wise men. Okay, so everybody knows that Mercury retrograde, yes, miscommunication, that happens. But another thing that happens is you could deal with, like, some uh, technical things, right? So something like your car not starting could be considered technical, right? Something like a battery dying in a car could be considered technical, right? Okay, here goes, ready? I'm not right. Um, I told Miss Tina, I was like, I could do stand-up comedy. I just could just tell what happens in my everyday life, and I could totally, have, like, a whole show. But anyway, Okay, here's the second one. Ready? Okay, so we have to go do some errands. Remember, Miss Tina just had surgery, so I'm driving her. Nothing major, just minor surgery. She's recovering very well. But I'm just driving her for a couple of weeks, that kind of thing. And we go to get in the car. She has some errands that she needs to run, and the car won't start. And so I'm like, oh no, and I'm like, I think it's the battery. But Miss Tina has like a newer car. It's like super fancy, so it's like I don't really know how these computerized newer cars work and everything. So I was like, I don't really hear it trying to start, like turn over. In my car, when I turn the ignition with the key, because I still have one of those types of cars, I can hear it like cranking, like starting. So when the battery's dead, I can tell like, oh, the battery's dead. Not the alternator, right? With her car, I couldn't tell. I can't hear it. It doesn't make any noise. It's a push start. You know what I mean? So I have no idea like how this machine works, and we're clearly having some technical issues. But I'm like, I think it's the battery, and I actually get a little bit excited because sister had just gotten me a set of jumper cables because about a month prior, I had a dead battery. Remember, guys, I'm in Kentucky and we've been having these cold spells. The weather is very bipolar here in Kentucky, if you didn't know. So we've been having these cold spells, and it does that. It kills your old batteries. My battery was like 5 years old. I think Christina's battery was the same. Both of our batteries were from 2021. I don't know how they lasted that long. Apparently, batteries don't last that long, but I didn't know. But anyway, so sister had got me these jumper cables because again, my car had just had this issue and I had to get a new battery and whatnot. And so I get excited and I'm like, hey, I got jumper cables. And I know I've seen this 100 times. I can do this. It's not a big deal. So I get out, I get the jumper cables, I open up the hood of her car, and you know how like there's a little thing that covers like a little crap that will cover the positive and the negative thing that you have to like put the little clips on, the jumper cables on, you know what I'm talking about? So I knew to like lift that uh, little cap up, right? But on her negative one, there was like a wire in the way, and I couldn't actually like get the little like pincher things, clamped on negative. So I start to panic. I'm like, oh, maybe I don't know what I'm doing. There's this little bolt like sticking out of it, like sticking up on top. And I was like, maybe I could just clamp it on the little bolt. That just didn't seem right though, because it was so small. And so I'm like, I have no idea. So I get back in the car and I'm like, I tried. So we get the phone out and I call my son first. And of course my son is at work. It's Monday. And he can't answer, on his job site. It's, not safe. So he doesn't answer, and I'm sitting in the car. Miss Tina tries to call her son. Two single ladies sitting in the car trying to figure out how to get this car started. I have no patience. Remember, I have Mars in Aries. My sun is in Aries. Mercury is in Aries. My physical body literally has no patience. Spirit loves me unconditionally and has been working with me on this situation for quite some time. So I start going through my phone list and calling people that I don't even call, right? Because again, I'm impatient. And as I'm doing this, I'm getting frustrated, I'm getting upset. Um, and all of a sudden, true story, are you ready? Three men, three full grown men, just walk off the street onto the big field next to Miss Tina's house. Out of nowhere, there's a church next to Miss Tina's house, so it literally looked like these three men had walked from the church, like out of magic, you know what I'm saying, onto the yard next to Miss Tina's, and they're carrying a jug. Um, so I wasn't scared. I didn't look at them and go, "Oh no, where did they come from?" I immediately knew where they came. I immediately knew who sent them. um, and I immediately knew that they needed something as well. Like that's why they had this jug, right? So Miss Tia is knocking on the window because she's a little nervous that there's three random strange men, walking through the yard. But again, I have a direct line to door. So it's like I like I said, and so I just get out of the car and I go over to them. She thinks I'm going over to beat them up and tell them to get lost. Of course not. I knew where they came from. I knew who sent them. And so I get there and I asked them about their jug, and they said they had broke down a little ways down the road and that they had overheated and they just needed some water. And I was like, well, that's perfect because I have, a faucet and it has water in it, and I just so happen to need a jump. But I actually have the vehicles over here. I just don't know if I have these connected properly, right? So the men are like, "Oh yes, we'll help you. We'll come make sure the connection is good, yada yada." All the things. And I was like, "Yay!" I grabbed the jug. I go get the milk. I mean the milk. I go get the water. I'm inside getting the water, and I see the men making sure that the clamps were on properly, and they did tighten them better than I had them on there. Um, and as I'm seeing them out the window, it immediately just, I apologize to Spirit for being impatient. And I thanked him for sending the three wise men to teach me about patience. Um, that is my second story about Mercury retrograde. So, guys, there's going to be miscommunication. There's going to be misunderstandings. There's going to be delays. There's going to be technical issues. But if you can stay grounded and patient, you will get through these energies just fine. Don't be like Rosa. Right? All right. So that's my two vulnerable personal stories. By the way, I did have them on there right, and it would have eventually charged. The car would have eventually started. But since they did make the contact stronger, the car started a lot quicker, right? So we all learned the things yesterday. Sherry says you're so funny. I'm telling you, this is just true stories, like things that just happen. All right, so I'm going to read for the collective. I've actually pulled out the Inner Eye Oracle. We haven't used this one in a little while. So I got the book just in case I need a reminder. I dropped them and stability comes out, so that's interesting. All right, so remember, guys, when we read for the collective, I'm looking at those the divine masculine energy, the divine feminine energy. I'm going to look at the bridging energy, and then I'll pull a guidance card. After that, as long as Spirit says, I do believe that's where we're going to stop. This is the last week of February, and we do have the Twin monthly energy, collective energy coming, I imagine, within the next few days. So, I do believe this one should be brief. And then I am offering a March free 3-card preview tonight. So if anybody wants to get a sneak peek of what March is going to bring them. I love you, Sandra. All right, ladies, let's look at the masculine energy first. Bottom of the deck, we have relationships. I did pull out the elemental wisdom. All right, so bottom of the deck. So this tells us this is the overall energy. We have memories coming up for the masculine. It's 3 of hearts. This would be considered, I know we would want to say like 3 of cups, but this is giving me more of 3 of swords energy. The masculine could be finding themselves in nostalgia, thinking of the past. It's giving energy of I don't want to say heartbreak, but there could have been some heartbreak energy for the masculine. But it's giving more of I'm gonna start to take care of me. I'm gonna start to heal me. It's giving more healing energy than heartbreak energy. I do want to point out that I am using the inner eye oracle, and it physically shows an actual heart inside this little locket picture. All right. Planning coming out for the feminine. This is giving me a strong energy of strategy. This is also a four of clubs would be considered four of wands, 11, 11, financial security, firm foundation. As we talked about the energies for March, it does seem like right now, collectively, the feminine wants to see more security from the masculine. It does seem like that is the collective drive for the feminine. Not just seeing it, but building it, creating it needs to have like needs to be coming like, in fruition type of energy. We're no longer going to talk about how you're protecting me. The words have to match the actions. Does that make sense? All right. We have the apprentice coming out. The J is sticking out to me. Let's look up the apprentice. Quick reminder. All right. Keywords are stability, organization, learning, dedication, steadiness, and commitment. All right, here's what it says. A smiling young man looks at you, and he is fit. He is fit in a picture of health, secure in his body and physical environment, framed by two ridges. He is connected to work and effort. The ivy symbolizes the natural world crawling around him and crowning him. Standing within a grid, he is methodical and organized and takes one stable step at a time. The Jack of Diamonds can easily become associated with work and our climb up our career ladder. But we must remember that he is simply an apprentice, someone who is starting out and learning the ropes. While this makes good sense within the work environment, it can be applied to a host of different situations. To a new parent or a bride and groom, all starting out on a new adventure and finding their way step by step. The apprentice is studious and dedicated, knowing where he would like to be. In questions relating to romance, he would be a sure bet offering dependability and reliable choice of partner. In other areas of life, his or her effort is noted. This person is not work shy and is eager to learn. In reading, the Jack of Diamonds will illustrate those starting out. When connected with you, these individuals, both male and female, will indicate anyone who is trustworthy and eager to invest their energy and time. Of course, this will be dependent on what cards sit with the apprentice. As it carries disruptive or negative cards, then this hard worker will likely become slack or uncommitted. You see how the feminine is committed as she is already planning. She is already building a firm foundation, the secure foundation, the financial security. This is where the feminine is. Masculine, still in the past, still in the nostalgia. There is going to be some Mercury retrograde energy as well. The words have to match the action. All right, I'm going to clarify a little bit. And I'm going to use the elemental wisdom. Bottom of the deck, we have the sun. This is bright joy and happiness. We have the Hierophant coming out. Toward energy, toward masculine. It's almost like the masculine is being forced to heal something with the heart, something from past situations, past hurt, almost like the Hierophant coming out and saying that this masculine may have run from this healing before. This is a major arcana. This energy is very much like spirit in your face, and you can't run from it anymore. You're not going to be able to move forward without taking the steps that are needed to heal the heart. For planning, we have the world, another major arcana coming out. It's confirmation of the Four of Wands, the 11, the strategizing, the planning, um, the words matching the action, the taking the steps, trusting your intuition. This is giving you opportunities. This is about doors opening. This doors opening. With the apprentice, we have the Four of Wands coming out. This is the goal. It's almost like the feminine energy has reached the goal. The masculine energy is getting help from spirit. It always feels, and I don't know why I don't make the rules, but it does always feel like the feminine energy is always a little bit ahead of the masculine. Um, we are, I think it's pretty clear. I keep saying that. I say it's pretty clear. We all know, we see it. That's not true. If you're not informed on current events, then you probably don't know. Like what's going on. You probably feel really heavy collective energies and you don't know why you feel that way or why you're struggling to process those energies. What I will say is it's very important to stay informed with current events. Again, you don't want to overwhelm. Balance is going to be key, but it is important to have knowledge so that you can make proper decisions and choices based on that knowledge. But it does seem like those of us that are informed on current events and understand what is happening day to day, we are seeing what people are calling the fall of the patriarchy, and we are seeing what people are calling the rise of the patriarchy. There's a lot of people that are going to be upset about hearing that. I understand. No exchange, but it is what it is. This is where we're at. This is what the energies are describing. This is what the astrology is showing. And this is what is happening. And I do feel that this is why, as we went through this awakening, as we went through this ascension, the feminine energy was always that nurturing, compassionate, self care energy was always a few steps ahead of that masculine, protect and provide energy. This masculine energy has to learn what protect and provide means before it comes into alignment. And that's what's happening collectively all over the planet, all over the world, to all of the masculine energy. All right, let's pull a tree of life for guidance. I do see the fallen card on the bottom. All right, coming out on its own, we do have the autumn card. I do see the hollow card on the bottom. All right, autumn, windfall of memories, sentimentality, memories change, acceptance, foreboding, worries, learning from mistakes. All right, there is an aura to you at this time. If you have come upon Tree of Life Autumn card, your memories may be your best guide for future decisions. Tree of Life Autumn is adorning you with a crown of leaves or a pile of them to jump into and toss about. As you've come a long way and have been through much, you have an opportunity now to reap the benefits of all that you've learned and all that you've endured. You have learned well and you've had your moment in the sun at this phase of life, and now you must look ahead, using your memories to guide you. Allow your past to be your teacher as you feel the moods of past phases of your life to resurface. Choosing Tree of Life card is indication that there will be shifts that cannot deny. It is not easy to go from a state of exaltation and success or from a time of contentment into a state of loss or change. The golden days of summer could feel like they're gone, and resisting the inevitable will only make the transition harder. Harsh times do come and go, but if you accept and prepare, you will soon see how beneficial it is to move forward. There may be sorrow of saying goodbye to what once was. Have you risen to the top of your game or come to a point where your job or schooling is at the end? Have you outgrown your surroundings or been with friends who no longer truly seem like they recognize who you are? Tree of Life Autumn clues you in that now is a time for you to go into your own observations and trust yourself. As you get ready to learn new lessons and face new challenges, allow your memories to serve you. What you learned will inform you with each step you take. If you've held a secure position which you've outgrown, consider that you've shined where you have been and that it is time for others to rise up and be in the spotlight. Perhaps you're being forced out or let go. This may be bewildering, but know that stepping aside does not have to mean you're defeated. It simply means you must ready yourself for new experiences and future moments of glory. Though the future can be frightening because of all of its unknowns, Tree of Life Autumn reminds you that there is much dignity in a timely withdrawal. Have courage. Do not slump in despair. Reach out with strong, supple branches and feel yourself expand. Your thoughts may scatter, but breathe in the crisp air. Tree of Life Autumn asks you to recognize you are wiser than you once were. So, definitely experiencing a lot of change, right? But especially right now, and definitely experiencing a lot of change when it comes to um, everyday routines, people we talk to or see every day, things that we've gotten used to or comfortable with, right? These are the energies that we're experiencing change with. The hollow card is here because I feel like some of us may feel this need to escape. I think we got these major arcanas with the Four of Wands 1111 because Spirit is trying to say there's no need for us to run and hide. Spirit is here. It's clear. It's clear for those of us that have been doing the work that Spirit is here and standing right beside us. Can it feel overwhelming at times? Yes. Can the emotions feel like it's just too much to handle at times? Absolutely. That is all of that information that Spirit is giving us through the spiritual awakening will come into play. That's where the grounding techniques will be used. All of them. I know I made jokes about touching the trees, guys, and taking your shoes off and letting your feet touch the ground, but that's actually something that's really, really needed right now. It will help you feel like it's helping you recharge, especially for those of us that are feeling very depleted and overwhelmed at this time. All right, so that is going to be the collective message. I hope that was helpful. Let me know, guys, if anyone is interested in a mini reading. I feel like we got through the information pretty smoothly tonight. A little over an hour. It's going to look like not too shabby, right? Star Lava, welcome. Let me know, ladies, what did you guys think about the masculine, feminine astrology transits. Does it feel like when I do it that way, it's a little bit easier to understand the transits? I feel like it's a little bit easier for me to understand the transits, and then it's also a little bit easier for me to like know what to do with them. Does that make sense? All right, I'm checking on TikTok and I'm seeing absolutely nothing over there, so I clearly must have done something wrong. Facebook looked good today, quiet, but I see some action. I know what's on TV, the State of the Union. I knew that it was either going to be like really quiet, or for new faces. You just never know. Okay, so it's going to be helpful. I hope so. I hope so. All right, ladies, let me know if anyone wants to do a March preview. I'll pull three cards very quickly. Don't forget, Thursday, we'll be back Thursday, 8 p.m. I'm going to do all 12 signs. If you're able to come catch me live, yay. And come hang out with me, right? If not, just remember timestamp will be in the description box. I do intend on doing the March twin flame current energy, I imagine, in the next couple of days. We also have the Virgo lunar eclipse happening. It's actually happening next Tuesday. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do love and astrology, and maybe we'll just talk about the eclipse on that day. I like to be a little bit ahead so you know what to do like with the energy before it gets here, right? So maybe we'll do like a music and tarot this weekend, maybe, and we can talk about that Virgo lunar eclipse a little bit more. I also have the fortune cookie higher self messages out, guys. So if anyone's interested, like, Vanessa wants to know about March. I'm going to stick to the same cards, the Inner Eye Oracle. I see the Luck card and the Engagement card. You're getting married. I'm just kidding. All right, we do have endings coming out, bottom of the deck. And I just want to say, so I'm reading for Vanessa, but I want to point out that we do have this full moon, this Virgo full moon coming. We are going to experience a lot of change in the month of March. We are going to experience a lot of things coming to an end. And I know that we say that often, but it's a little bit different this time because these are things that are coming to an end that we have gotten very used to or like even maybe very comfortable with. So something like that is going to be coming to an end, and that nobody likes change. We all kind of struggle with change. It could have something to do with needing to make a decision, like which way you're going. Disingenuine comes out. Someone could be wearing a mask. The love card comes out and opportunity comes out. So I do feel like it's some type of opportunity to close out some chapter. Maybe with someone who hasn't been very honest or truthful. Maybe it's like someone that you don't trust. This is giving me almost like my story that I was telling you about a very kind, nice man That was my age. Did I mention that? Um, that I just really struggled to trust, right? Like I was just waiting for like to catch this person in a lie. I was just waiting for like, the rock to fall out of the sky. And then I jumped before it actually did, right? So it's kind of giving that energy. Like you could have an opportunity to heal some situation where you were having some type of trust issues. It's about a person that you feel like, hey, I've given him, ample opportunity. Words never match the action. Then this is going to be an opportunity to bring some type of like final closure to that situation. All right. I hope that was helpful, Vanessa. All right. Let's do Sherry. Guys, if you're new, make sure that you're hitting your notification bells to all, because more than likely we will have a music and tarot this weekend so that we can talk about that Virgo lunar eclipse. Remember, guys, lunar eclipses bring a lot of change themselves. That is happening on the 3rd. You definitely could feel that energy. Thank you, Vanessa. You definitely could feel that energy a little bit early. I'm a little trouble on Facebook. Give me just a moment. Oh, yes, guys. Please hit the thumbs up button for me. Even you quiet watchers, I see you. Thank you for reminding me to share. Perfect. I've got you, Sandra. I do want to say I do feel that love and relationship are going to be the key to divine feminine in March, because you are building your personal security, your emotional security, your physical security. You're rebuilding that foundation in the month of March. So that's why um, those energies, very welcome, are that way. Guys, please remember we are multi streaming. So tonight I'm on 4 platforms. I'm doing Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube all at the same time. I think I got Facebook fixed. We should be good over there. If you got that error message, I do apologize. I just noticed it. I just happened to go click through there and I was like, I'm sorry. Okay. All right, Sherry, here we go. March preview, 3 cards. Came out right away. Social engagement, the pragmatist, commitment. Home is on the bottom. So the overall energy is about home. It's about your engagement, your commitment, and the practicality of those things in your home situation. I can see the advisor as the king of swords. King of swords is authenticity, speaking truth in a home situation. So there could be some imbalance on how often do you go out and hang out with friends. Um, how often do you guys like stick to whatever your thing is that you're committed to? There's some type of imbalance here. You need to be more practical about that situation. a little bit something else. Give me just a moment. The commitment card, you could also be running from some romantic commitment. Don't shoot the messenger. Um, and Spirit is saying that if you want to, like, you can't say, man, I'm bored, being home every weekend, and not meeting anybody, but then you don't go out. You see what I'm saying? It could be that as well, those cards. Like it could be saying, like, if you want more social engagement, then you're going to have to be more practical and you're going to have to be more open to making plans with people and doing things. You see what I'm saying? That as well. But there's definitely an imbalance in the home situation because remember, bottom of the deck energy. All right. I hope that was helpful. All right. All right, March preview. Relationship comes out all on its own. 7 of Hearts. What's sticking out to me is the puzzle pieces fit. Yay. It's like you're figuring something out. That's actually necessarily about a relationship, or it's the fact that the puzzle pieces fit. The Protector comes out. King of Diamonds. A Disingenuine comes out. Mass. 7 of Spades. This is about your belief. Okay, let's talk about this because this is going to happen a lot. I told the story. Remember at the beginning when I told the story about the very nice man who was, like I said, my age, spiritual, awakened, compassionate, understanding. He had empathy. He put chocolate milk in his iced coffee. Okay, I'm just saying, definitely could have been the one. Okay, but again, I'm so untrusting. I'm still like needing more healing work, clearly. Um, and it's like I jumped that I read something, the wrong way and was like, oh no, bad guy, danger, Will Robinson, danger, block, ban, delete. You know what I'm saying? We can't do that. We have to be, and I don't want to say you have to be more open and trusting. That's really hard to do in today's time. Okay. But we can't put everyone under the same, we can't say it's every man. You see what I'm trying to say? We can't be like, oh, every man is that way or every woman is that way. You see what I'm saying? We can't do that. That's going to be the trick in the month of March. And remember, through most of this month, Mercury is retrograde. So it's just trying to trip you up. It's just trying to get you to say something, act irrational, do something that you wouldn't normally do, believe something that's not true. You see what I'm trying to say? So you really want to take that 7 of Swords energy very seriously through the month of March. You want to try to use it more as a leveling up. Stop allowing past history or past people to dictate what you believe you're capable of doing now in the present. Right? All right. I hope that was helpful. All right, guys. I think that's it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Don't forget, Thursday night, 8 p.m., we're going to do all signs. Come in, hang out with me. It's right? And then, of course, I will get the twin current energy for the month of March very soon. I'm going to try to do it this week. We also have the Virgo lunar eclipse happening on the 3rd. So we have that energy to talk about as well. So again, if you're new, if you just found me, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure your notification bells are hit to all. And for the know when we're live. Remember, guys, we're on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter. All at the same time, guys. All right, I love y'all. Thank you, moderator ladies, for coming in and hanging out with me. Definitely a quiet night. That's okay. Yeah, I'm really proud of all of us for and gaining the knowledge that we need to make wiser decisions, right? So all a win-win for everybody, right? Thank you, Sherry. All right, guys, I'm always sending all of you a financial life on your journey. Have a good night.